I hope you are doing well. This is Emily Bartlett. For those that have not been here before, or for even those that have, you will notice that up in the top right hand corner of your screen, you don't see the current logo. I host the Fairfield Harbor podcast here on YouTube, but I am going to start this session on this last day of January 2023, focused on elections. We have a big set of elections coming up in 2024. One of the things that I have just noticed over the past 8-ish years is that more and more folks seem to show up to the polls, in my opinion, more and more uninformed on all of the topics, platforms, and candidates that are running for office. And so I thought, why not, create something that may help others get informed on how to be a good public citizen, a good constituent to have in any type of larger community. So, having said that, I took the Fairfield Harbor podcast logo down because this, I hope, will not just stay within Fairfield Harbor. If you like this content, I hope you will share it. If you feel like it would be valuable for others, share away. And for those that I know that are teachers and such, I would love for you to share this with your classes if you think it's appropriate, or reach out to me and we can create some classroom curriculum that is age appropriate, depending on who your kids are. My kids are in second and fourth grades, and we have active conversations about voting all the time, how we know who's in office, what their platforms are, whether or not we agreed or disagreed with the election decisions. And they watch us get information on different things that we hear as we get closer and closer to elections. We talk about biased information and things like that in an age appropriate way, such that hopefully we are creating responsible citizens for the future. So I say all of that to say, welcome. We are not going to talk about any type of political parties or my specific political affiliation. This is going to be very high level. I'm laying a foundation today. This is video 1. Again, share as you will. We're going to talk about how to register to vote, how to check on your voter registration if you've moved. Maybe you're in college and you're not really sure how to vote. We're going to talk through those things. If you're getting ready for your first election in 2024, that's going to be a big deal. So congratulations. And I look forward to, watching the results of next year's election. So please get out there, do your part and vote. But we're going to talk about how to vote, how to check on our election status, different types of information that are helpful, especially as you're just getting into voting, especially for those that are getting ready to turn or have just turned 18. And then also we are going to talk about, I live in Craven County today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the different offices that oversee Craven County, both from a federal and state level, as well as a local and municipality level. And then we are going to talk about current Craven County-specific leaders. Again, I live in Craven County today, so that's why I'm doing it on this information. But know that this information is readily available for you no matter where you are on your state Board of Elections website. So please go find that. That should be a hub for you for all election-related information, because I expect the next 20-ish months as we get up to November of 2024 to be hot and heavy with a lot of different candidates, a lot of different information. And we need to keep a cool head. We need to do this in the right way. So with that, I hope that this in some way arms you with the information that you need to feel comfortable and confident as you show up to the polls in November. Or if you have local municipal elections that are happening in 2023, there are some happening for municipalities in the larger Craven County area in 2023. I hope this gives you the information to show up this year more informed and ready to vote. All right, so with that, I am going to share my screen. I will make these slides available. Um, yeah, I'm going to post them somewhere. I'll make sure that you have them if they are valuable for you. Um, Again, these are the things we're going to talk about. I'm not going to read through that again. Let's talk about registering to vote. So, a lot of times, and I will say this is also holds true for North Carolina, we have the North Carolina State Board of Elections. It's ncsbe.gov. And it is a little cumbersome to navigate. That page has not got the most user friendly interface. Tools like vote411.org are newer. But know that tools that you go to outside of your state board of elections can be biased in one way or another with information that they put out, especially around candidates that take a platform position on things that they are funded by. So just know I tend to get a little leery, or I at least ask myself some additional questions whenever I seek information that is not coming from my state board of elections. Um, but am going kind of outside of that to get additional information on a candidate, a platform, a point of view, things like that. So my hub is the State Board of Elections page. That is also where you can get information to vote about who's eligible to vote. If I'm in the military and deployed, how do I vote? How do I check on my status? If I'm 17 during an election, but will be 18 by the time the primary rolls around, how do I vote? Do I have to pick a candidacy affiliation whenever I register to vote? What are those? What do they mean? All of that stuff you can get on your State Board of Elections page, or at least you can on State of North Carolina's page. I've not visited all 50 State Board of Elections pages. But here in North Carolina, you can go in person or online to the Department of Motor Vehicles, and where you get your driver's license information, you can also register to vote there. Again, that's online or in person. There's also a form that you can print and mail in to register to vote. That's, of course, a little bit slower. But regardless, once you're registered, and you would be able to check your registration status, especially if you move from another state or across within the same state. Your county and jurisdictions will have changed. So just know it's important to keep your address information up to date, your name up to date if you get married or divorced or what have you. Keep all of that information up to date such that there are no issues when it's your time to show up to the polls and cast your vote. Okay. So this I mentioned earlier is specific to, again, I live in Fairfield Harbor, which is in Craven County, North Carolina. And when I went to the North Carolina State Board of Elections website, I checked my voter registration status. It asked me for 4 pieces of information. It asked me for my first name, my last name, as they would appear on my voter registration, my year of birth, and then also my county. I don't believe county was a required field, but those were the 4 pieces of information I entered. And then this is what it brought back. So it brought back a whole screen. At the top was my demographic information, everything that is currently in my voter registration status, address, age, all that, marital status, all that fun stuff. And then down below, it gave me my jurisdiction information. So this is my local jurisdiction information. It also gave me where is my precinct to go vote, the address and the phone number for that. So this is my precinct information based on my address. I did not share, I'm not going to go through the screens here because there's some sensitive information that I don't want shared with everyone in the country. But this is what came back for me as far as my jurisdictions. And this information is important. It lets you know the offices, especially in your local jurisdictions, right, that are going to govern things that happen around you locally. And then you can start to do research, like who is currently in those offices. The one question that I think most people overlook is, what is this office? What is their duty? What is their function? What is their job description? So if I am the governor, what service or function do I have for constituents in the state of North Carolina? I want to know what that is such that I can compare and contrast our current governor's abilities to that job description. So, yes, we may do a lot of great things, right? This is true in any type of corporate situation as well. I may do a ton of things across the organization. Well, I may sit on the Council for Diversity Inclusion. I may be a part of new hire orientation, the welcoming committee for new employees. But if I suck at my job, the thing that the company hired me for, all of these other great things do not matter. Okay. So, yes, I think we tend to get kind of, oh my gosh, they're such a great person. They do this within their community, they do that within their community. And we hear about that on the campaign trails for various offices, people touting all of the great things that they have done. But if they suck at their actual job description, that does not matter to me. Okay. I appreciate all of your other great deeds, but I need you to get to work for what we elected you to do. Okay. So know what the function of each of these offices is. What does the Superior Court do? How is that different from the prosecutorial, office? What do those things do, or do they connect with my Congress and my state Senate, things like that? So know those things. And if you don't know those things, no shame. This is your opportunity to go learn. So look up your voter registration status. If it says you're not registered to vote, take action today to get that done. And then once you see your voter registration, understand who are your federal, state, and local elected officials. What function do those roles serve? Who is currently in that role? And start to look at what is true and factual about how they are performing in that role based on their term to date. Okay. That's going to do a lot to help inform you on whether or not that person's doing a great job. And if they are up for reelection, is that someone you would still want in that role? Or is there someone coming in as a new candidate who is likely better for one reason or another? So, just again, the whole point of this series is going to be an informed voter when we get to the voting booths. Okay. Yeah, I think I've said everything I need to say there. All right. So I think too, another thing that people often overlook, we're so focused on the outside, right? Oh gosh, what's the president doing? What's the vice president doing? What are they not doing? There's a lot out, especially in the mainstream media, that is more speculative than factual, in my opinion. And you don't know what to believe or what not to believe, because as soon as you say something, a million people are going to point fingers saying that you're wrong, you can't remember this, or you don't remember that. And then 100 million people are going to come back and be like, yes, right on, you're great. And it's confusing. If you take the pulse of how you feel about current candidates off of social media, we're going to stop that today. Okay. We want to know, what do we believe in? What are our platforms? Do we believe in abortion? Do we not? Do we believe in a higher power? Do we not? Do we believe that opioids are addictive and a national epidemic, that I would argue worldwide epidemic, that we need to nip in the bud? Who's taking on those issues? What are the issues that we think are important for us and how we live day to day? What are issues that are on candidates' ballots that I don't really have an opinion on one way or the other, that I need to educate myself on maybe a little more, or that's kind of a buy for me? But you have to know who you are and what you believe in order to be able to create that foundation for the ruler by which you're going to evaluate all the candidates for a specific role, right? So know that about yourself, and know, if no one's ever told you this, 18-year-old Emily and 43-year-old Emily are two completely different people. I had just left my home. I was going to college for the first time. I had all of these aspirations, and I was very kind of future focused, not focused in the day to day. Today, I'm very rooted in what's happening around me. How does that impact me, my family, my kids going to school? What are the things that they're learning? How do I help influence that and help them create an opinion for themselves, even at that young age? Um, you have to My voting has changed is basically what I want to say. My voting has changed from the time I was 18 to 43-year-old Emily. Okay. So no, that is likely true for you. If you move from Florida to California, your whole perspective got changed. I've lived in North Carolina my whole life. So just know that it's not wrong. It's just different. And it's fine to change your perspectives. It's fine to have a life experience that informs future decisions in a way that you would not have taken action on before. It's okay to change your mind. Just know why you changed your mind. Be grounded in the why, such that whenever all the social media pressures come at you, because they will come at you regardless of which way you fall, um, just from different people. But just know you will get pressure in one way or another. And you have to understand, no, this happened to me. It completely changed my whole perspective on this. And from now on, this is my point of view. Yes, we can have rational, adult, respectful conversations about it. We can have a difference of opinion, but this is why I believe what I believe. And you may have another situation happen a week later that completely changes your mind again. I think it's a fluid. I think this is the reason why we have a democracy. But I want you to know, if you have not been told that today, it is okay to mark a political affiliation on your ballot at 18 and change it when you are 43. It's okay to not pick a political affiliation and then pick one later. It's totally fine. Just do it in an informed way, right? Don't let people push you around and make the decision for you. Okay. All right. So, no election related lingo. So, as you start to dig in more into what's happening for different candidates running for office, you will hear words like incumbent, precinct, municipality, absentee ballot, abandoned ballot. Know what those things are. And if you don't, I want you to know that the U.S. Election Assistance Commission has created a glossary of election terminology, and it is wonderful. There's over 1,300 words in there. When we started having all of these concerns over ballots being abandoned, ballots not being counted, all this stuff, there was so much jargon that seemed on the news like people knew what they were talking about. And then whenever you actually go look up the definition, that was not the case. Again, the whole purpose of this is to be informed. Don't rely on what you hear. Seek out truth for yourself. And be careful where you get your news and information from. Know who owns the news channels that you listen to for the most part. Know what their values and principles are. Understand that the news based on typically who's going to give them the most money, that's how they're spinning the stories. Regardless of where you get your information, just know if there are any type of political affiliations, monetary influences. Yeah, just be mindful of how those stories can be spun. Okay. And then be careful of your own implicit and or unconscious biases, right? So I, again, only grew up in North Carolina. I've lived here my whole life. I went to college here and now raising my kids here, but I've literally lived in all three major parts of the state. I've lived in the mountains, the coastal plains, and now I live on the coast. And I say that because while, again, 18-year-old Emily is not the same, there are things that I find myself stereotyping groups or, oh my God, they went to that school, so that can only mean this. And that's not true. We have to understand the individual. We have to listen with an open mind to everyone. If we've learned nothing else over the past 20 years, can we at least agree on that? But we have to be aware of our own implicit or unconscious biases, because those are going to influence how we cast our ballots on election day. Whenever we choose, if you're going to pre-vote, that's great. If you're going to vote on election day, wonderful. But just know, whenever you show up, be mindful and have done the work on yourself and all the research that you need to do on the candidates leading up to election day, such that whenever you show up to that booth, you know who you're voting for, why you're voting for them, why you think they're the best candidate. So it's just, you're affirmed in those beliefs. Okay. And then again, I talked about this earlier, reflect on those past terms. Again, is the person that is currently elected in this office, if they're up for reelection, great. Are they doing the job that we elected them to do? If they're not, if they're just hanging out with these people over here, while well-intentioned, good-minded, it's not what we hired you to do. Get in your lane, do your job, right? Like, you have to know what the roles and the functions of these elected roles are, such that we can evaluate who is going to be the best candidate. It's not based on feelings and how nice someone is, how polished they look, how well they can or cannot speak in public. It is about what action they can perform when they are serving that function. So let's keep our eyes on the action. Okay. All right. So again, I'm going to start to get into Craven County specifically. So that's kind of my spiel on becoming an informed voter. Okay. So this is Craven County representative roles and terms. Understand that Craven County is in North Carolina. Yes, in the United States of America. And these terms, not the federal, but state and local government terms, can vary, not only from district to district within a county or local government, but also just from state to state. So just be mindful of that and know what the roles and terms are for elected officials in your area. Okay. So the president and vice president, they both serve 4 years. And in this table I included the year that they were elected into that office, and then when that next office election is going to be held, right? So again, that may change. You'll see things like staggered. So we have 2 U.S. senators in the state of North Carolina, and they were not elected in the same year, which is why it says staggered there, right? So so barring anything else happening, that and our president and vice president are both, still serving in their offices come 2024, both of those offices will be up for reelection. The federal U.S. Senate, again, North Carolina has 2 seats on the Senate. Those are 6-year terms, 2 more than the president and vice president. So just be mindful. And those were elected for North Carolina in 2020 and 2022. So based on the 6-year term, the next time that those would be elected is 2026 and 2028. Our U.S. House of Representatives, we are in District 3. That's our Congress. District 3, they have a 2-year term. They were elected in 2022. The next election is going to be 2024. Our state governor, so these are now state offices. You'll see over here in the first column, I included federal, state, local, office title, the term for that role, again, the year they were currently elected, and then the next time that office will be voted on, barring anything happening between now and then. So for state, our state governor and lieutenant governor, those both serve a 4-year term. They were both voted on in 2020. So both of those for Craven County, North Carolina, will be up for a reelection in 2024. Our U.S. or our NC state Senate seat, that's District 2 for us, and our North Carolina House of Representatives, District 3, those are serving 2-year terms. Both of them elected in 2022, both up for reelection in 2024. Let's see. All right, now we get into county. All right, so we have our district attorney. Our district attorney for Craven County is where I live. but also serves for Pamlico and Carteret County. They serve a term of 4 years, so they will be next up for election in 2026. Same for our Clerk of Superior Court. They serve a 4-year term. They will next be up for election in 2026. Again, barring nothing happens between now and then, and their office doesn't become empty. Our sheriff was voted in 2022, and he holds a term of 4 years. I say he's a he today. And so he will be up for reelection in 2026 as well. Our Register of Deeds is a 4-year office. It was voted on in 2020, so they will also be up for reelection in 2024. So we have 7 districts for our Craven County Board of Commissioners. Those are 4-year terms, and they were elected in 2022, will be up again for election in 2026. And I did include a footnote down here on these slides. There is an official document with all the names, contact information, emails, and phone numbers for all elected officials in Craven County, and I put the hyperlink there. Again, if you are not in Craven County, if you're not in North Carolina, all of this information should be relatively easy for you to find. If not, call your state board of elections and have them walk you through it. And I made this table, whatever way you collect and kind of synthesize information, put it in that format. This is just what's easiest for me. So our Craven County Board of Education, again, we have 7 districts in our Craven County Board of Education. They are a 4-year staggered start. Their terms were elected in 2020 and 2022. So those will be up for reelection in 2024 and 2026. And then we have Soil and Water Conservation. We have 3 seats there. They are 4 years, elected in 2020 and 2022. So we will be looking at 2024 and 2026 to reelect our Soil and Water Conservation District supervisors. Now, municipalities. Fairfield Harbor, which is a community in Craven County where I live, it is not governed by a municipality within the county. It is governed by the county itself. So other municipalities within Craven County include the town of Bridgeton, the town of Cove City, the town of Dover, the city of Havelock, the city of New Bern, the town of Riverbend, the town of Trent Woods, and the town of Vanceboro. And I say that to say that if you want the mayor and your commissioners, or gosh, I just forgot the name of the term I want to use. You know what? Let's just pull it up here. I had the link. Maybe I don't. Anyway. It's not armors. It's a very similar word. It starts with an A. I'll think of it here in a minute. Anyway, if you need those people and how many you have elected in your, because it's different by municipality, the number of aldermen, that's the word. The number of aldermen or commissioners that we have varies. Also, their terms vary, but you can get that information by clicking on the hyperlink here. Okay. All right. And so our current elected officials, right? So I pulled all this together because this starts my research. I know who I am. I know what I believe in. I know what my values system is and my morals are. And I'm very firm in those things today. Again, something catastrophic could happen and completely change my mind on something, and that is fine. But I know who those are. But for me, we just moved here to Craven County in 2021. And so I did vote in the most recent elections and I did my research. This is kind of me walking you through how I came up with who sits in those offices today. Do I feel like they're doing a good job? Who am I talking with to get other people that have lived here longer than me's perspective? Making sure that I am very well aware of any biases or financial incentives to give me certain information one way or another. But then also so I could show up on election day being a newer citizen to Craven County and feeling like I was making an informed decision. And I felt good about that. So our federal officials for Craven County, again, I have a legend here. So if the office is going to be up for election in 2023, that's the year we're currently sitting in. I made them red because time is of the essence to make sure we're registered to vote and to get all the information that we need on who's currently in that office, whether or not they are eligible to be an incumbent, and any other folks that will be running for that office. If they're in this kind of gold color, those elections will be happening in 2024. And as you saw from the prior screens, we have a lot of elections coming up in 2024. So a lot of work to do to make sure we're informed, which is why I'm doing this video now at the beginning of 2023, because it gives us almost 2 full years to get all the information that we need to show up confidently at the polls in 2024. Okay. So there are municipalities in Craven County that have elections coming up later this year in 2023. Not any where I, as a voter in Craven County, am concerned, because I'm not included in any of those municipalities. But anyway, these will be coming up for 2024. And if it's in black, their office is up for re-election in 2025 or after. Okay, so I'm not as concerned about those offices at this time. President and Vice President Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, both Democrats, that's what D stands for, both elected in 2020. Our U.S. House of Representatives, which is our Congress seat, District 3 is Dr. Greg Murphy. He is a Republican, and he was elected in 2022. Our state officials. Governor is Roy Cooper, Democrat. He was elected in 2020. Our lieutenant governor is Mark Robinson. He is a Republican, elected in 2020. Our North Carolina State Senate District 2 representative, again for Craven, Carteret, and Pamlico County, is Republican Jim Perry. He was elected in 2022. And our NC House of Representatives District 3 for Craven County is Republican Steve Tyson. He was elected in 2022. And again, those are 2-year terms for those offices, if you reference the tables before. And then we have our county officials for Craven County. So our district attorney for Craven, Pamlico, and Carteret is Scott E. Thomas. He's a Republican. He was elected in 2022. Our clerk of Superior Court is Alexis or Lexanne Huffman. She is a Republican, and she was elected in 2022. Our sheriff is Chip Hughes, a Republican, elected in 2022. Our Register of Deeds, which is up for election in 2024. Again, the legend down here. Sherry Richards is a Democrat, and she was elected in 2020. Then you have our Craven County Board of Commissioners. All were elected in 2022. This is the names for districts 1 through 7. I will read through those, but know that District 1 is in italics because District 1 is the district that I am in, Fairfield Harbor. So Thomas or Tom F. Mark, he's a Republican. District 2 is Jason R. Jones, Republican. District 3, Beatrice R. Smith, Democrat. District 4, E.T. Mitchell, Republican. District 5, Chevelle or Sherry Hunt, Republican. District 6, Chadwick Howard, Republican. And District 7, Denny Butcher, Republican. Again, I've included a hyperlink here. So when I make these slides available, you will have it to the Craven County Commissioner District map. So if you're not sure, right, like if you see based on your voter registration, right, that this is my county commissioner district, but you want to see what all that district includes, you can click on the maps here and it'll show you the boundaries for each of those districts. And again, the highlighted District 1 for Board of Commissioners is my representative for Fairfield Harbor. And then these are also more Craven County officials. So our Craven County Board of Education, again, District 1, Brent D. Manning. Okay, and I had to do some research on him even making these slides, right? Because it did not have a year that he was elected. And in trying to dig through why that is, we had a prior District 1 representative, Stephanie King. She resigned from her role in 2022. She had been elected in 2016. She was an incumbent, reelected in 2020, based on what I was able to find. But then she resigned in 2022, and they held elected or interviews for interested candidates for District 1. And Brent D. Manning is for our district, who was interviewed and selected to fill Stephanie King's role. So I am making the assumption that this District 1 will come back open for election. Again, these are 4-year terms. And I'm making the assumption that since Stephanie was elected in 2020, that this office will come back up for re-election in 2024, and it would not be another 4 years from the time Brent interviewed in 2022. So that's why I put the question mark there. I'm pretty sure that that's right, but I will be making a call to my local election board to ask for clarification. That's why it's important to know these things, because that had happened all like when we were very new here. District 2 is Scott Murphy. District 3, Carol G. Carr. IPOC the second. District 4, Jennifer Dacey. District 5, Kelly Muse. District 6, Lauren Kitzinger. And District 7, Naomi Clark. So again, you see these elected in 2020. Those will be up for re-election, those seats in 2024. And again, the Craven County Board of Education district maps, if you want to see the boundaries for those districts, you can click on this. And again, District 1 is highlighted or italicized because that is my district representative here in Fairfield Harbor. And then we have 3 district supervisors for soil and water conservation. Marlene Salyer will be up for that seat, that supervisor seat will be up for re-election in 2024. She was elected in 2020. Will Farmer was elected in 2022, as was Adam Fulcher in 2022. So I think that's the last slide that I have, but I hope that this was helpful, especially for those of you that live in Fairfield Harbor and or Craven County. I hope this gives you information. Like I said, I'll make these slides available so that you can click through to the district maps. But again, all of this is a simple Google search or North Carolina State Board of Education click away, or State Board of Elections. I hope I said that, and not education, but the State Board of Elections website has all of this information. So I hope that was helpful. I will be doing other series that talk through each of the candidates currently in office, because that's important. I'm going to be doing the research anyway. I might as well share it with you so that we can make some informed decisions together. And I'd be curious what questions you have as we get ready to vote in the 2024 elections. Like I said, we have, if we count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 offices coming back up for re-election for federal, state, and local governments. And so that's going to be important for us to stay informed in. And again, if you are part of any of the municipalities within Craven County, if you're within those boundaries, you likely have more seats coming up on your ballot in 2023 and 2024, as you have mayors and other commissioners or aldermen coming up for re-election. So I hope this was helpful. Again, I would love your feedback. I would love for you to share this with others that just have questions on voting or new voters. I am just, I just want to make sure that people feel confident going to the polls. And there's such a divisiveness, I feel like, and people just get so mean about, did you vote? Why didn't you vote? Because you're an ass. And so I just, yeah, I don't know. It becomes so toxic around election season. And I feel like that would disseminate some if we were all just more informed voters and felt more comfortable in the decisions that we made versus kind of showing up and voting for names that looked familiar off of signs on the side of the road, or things that we heard about at a dinner party, things like that. So with that, I hope you have a great rest of your week. I hope February is wonderful to you, and we will talk soon. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.